Let me just start off by saying tonight's episode, wow, I'm blown away. Like every week, I think that this show can't get any better, but it does. Like the only series that has been this consistently good where the writing, the acting, the cinematography, the fashion, everything comes together like this for me was Watchmen last season. You know, last year, if you watch at the end of the year, I always do my top 10 list. Last year, Watchmen was my favorite show of 2019, and Lovecraft Country is right up there. Like this show is just blowing me away. This week's episode was so emotional, so many good lines and monologues. Oh my God. Hi, you guys. My name is Keisha, and I'm here with my all tea, all shade Lovecraft Country Season 1, Episode 9 review. We only got one more episode, and the season will be over. I pray they get another season. Misha Green has outdone herself. I loved Underground. I loved everything about it. I was so hurt after 2 seasons when they got canceled. I pray that that doesn't happen with this show because they are bringing it. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. Go ahead on and subscribe. You know, we get it popping over here. Also, make sure you like this video and press the notification bell button so you know when all of my videos drop. Now let's get into tonight's review. So you know last week the Jigaboos got to Diana ass. So she's laying on the couch with a messed up arm. And that's when I realized that when Tick went back to the future and he said that a hooded woman with a bionic arm gave him the Lovecraft Country book, I was like, oh, that must have been Diana. Ooh. So Tick wants to call Christina for help because, you know, they don't know what to do about this whole entire situation. So he says, you know, we'll give her Titus's pages, you know, to see if she can help us with this situation. And Lady looking like, oh, fuck, I already gave this bitch Titus's page. So he about to go do it. She stops him and tells him that she already gave Christina the pages and that, you know, she did it so he could be invulnerable, but she ended up giving it to her instead. So Montrose goes the fuck off like, oh, so bitch, you gonna looking out for yourself? That's what we doing now? Like, fuck my son? So Ruby then takes up for her and was like, you know, she needed it. And Letty stops her because she doesn't want to reveal yet that she's pregnant. But of course, Tick and Montrose already know. Tick is upset too by this because he was like, that was our only, you know, thing that we would be able to use to get her to help us. So then Ruby steps in and was like, don't worry, bitch. I got this. That's my nigga, bitch. That's my he, she. That's my butch queen. I'll ring a ding ding and tell her to come on over here and help her boo thing out. So Christina comes over and she's, you know, looking over Diana's drawings because remember she couldn't physically tell them what was wrong with her because of the spell. So she drew everything on paper so they could understand what was happening to her. So Christina says that she can't remove the spell without the book of names. But she can do a restoration and reset the curse cycle, but eventually Diana will die. So Tick tells her, you know, to do it. He was like, fuck it. I mean, we got to do what we got to do. So Christina says, only if you come back to Artem the night of the ultimate, I can't never say this goddamn word. I can't remember how the fuck they said on this goddamn show. Anywho, the autumnal equinox or whatever the fuck. So Tick was like, fuck it. Alright, because he already know that he's supposed to die. So he already just, you know, getting forward tough for this shit. Fuck that. So Christina says, I'll need you all to help channel intention and get her temperature as close to normal as possible. So Tick was like, well, what will we do for the body? And Christina says the blood of her closest relative will do. So Montrose has to do it, but he got this weird look on his face. So Lancaster people are trying to put him back together again because, you know, over the years they've able to kill black people and just piece that nigga back together, but this time it ain't working. So Christina comes to his office as William and he says, you know, every time that I turn back into myself, William dies all over again. That's what I want for you, to die 1,000 deaths, but I'll have to settle for just one. And Lancaster just looking at him because he knows that William is Christina. So Lancaster takes his last breath, so that nigga is gone. He dead. And William / Christina was rejoicing because she finally got rid of this motherfucker. And I was like, good riddance, bitch. We don't like your pig ass, no way. So Montrose is at the guy's store, and he got a bottle of moonshine, because he like to drink and think when he's stressed out. Tick finds him and snatches the shit away, but he decides he gonna take a swig and damn near die. He ain't about that moonshine life. So Montrose says, my blood might not work. And Tick was like, why not? And Montrose says, you might be George's son. And Tick was like, I know the fuck you didn't, bitch. I know the fuck you didn't just decide to drop this shit on me at this moment. Like, I thought we were done with the secrets, bruh. So Tick was like, my mama cheated on you? And Montrose said, what we went through doing that massacre creates an unbreakable bond. So they kind of had like some little freaky shit going on. They all was close. They all went through this horrible thing in Tulsa. So I guess, they maybe shared us some shit. I don't know what the hell was going on with Dora. I don't blame her. I would have been fucking both of the brothers too, shit. One dick ain't enough, shit. Let's just have 2. Hell, put a 3, 4 of the motherfuckers in my mouth. I'm ready. So, Tick starts to cry. And like anybody in his position, you would. Because like, my uncle was probably my daddy. He sat by and watched you beat on me. You beat on me. My whole life is a lie. Like, it's just so much that he has to digest. So Tick said, I watched George work on the guy wishing he was my father. And I was like, oh, God. George got to come back because he got so much to answer for, Jesus. And so much with this love triangle that needs to be answered. So Letty ends up coming into the room and catches the tail end of it, and she sees things are tense, and she was like, Christina is back. And soon as she says that, in walks Hippolyta. I don't know how in the hell Hippolyta got her ass back through that portal, but her Hippolyta was, and she was like, what the fuck is going on with my daughter? What the hell is going on? So they all up in the room, and at this point, Diana has turned into a full jigaboo. Her face, lips, everything, and I was like, oh hell no, bitch. Nuh-uh, not in the color purple. We are not. So, Christina slices Hippolyta's hand because she's the closest blood relative to Diana. And Christina then does the spell. And then out of Diana's arm, bugs and stuff start flying out of her arm. Remember when Lancaster did the spell, the worms and stuff start coming out of the ground. So Diana ends up transforming back into herself, but she looks very sickly. So Ruby ends up leaving with Christina. But before she goes, Letty tells Ruby that she can't trust Christina. She like, bitch, I'm telling you that bitch ain't no good. But Ruby over there pussy dickmatized. Like, she don't know what, is she coming or going? So Ruby defends, Christina to Letty, like, she's been helping me. She helped you. She saved you. This, and that. And Letty tells her that the spell Christina is going to do on, will probably kill Tick. And Ruby was basically like, you got shit to do with me? Deuces, bitch. I got some pussy to go suck on. So Hippolyta is going to go back to the observatory to go back in time to Tulsa, because she's, of course, determined to save her daughter. She can't lose her daughter and her goddamn man. Like, hell to the motherfucker no. So in the basement of Christina's house, Ruby is down there sitting next to Hillary, the white lady that she turns into. And she asked Christina, did she only help Diana to get to Tick? And Christina was like, yeah. I love the fact that Christina is so open and honest with her, and that's the fact that she doesn't lie to her. She keeps it a book, like, I ain't shit, and you gonna know that this is me. Either accept me as I am, bitch, or don't accept me at all. So Ruby says, all that shit you said about seeing magic in me was a lie. I was your plan B. Christina tells her that she's not using her, she's not lying to her, and she admits that she's going to kill Tick. So Ruby was just like, I promise me you won't kill my sister. And Christina was like, I promise I won't. So at this point, it's pretty much like an unspoken word that we together, bitch. We together. I think that they got feelings for each other sexually and romantically, even outside of them changing into William and Hillary. They love each other. They got love there for each other. And I'm low-key here for this shit. So Ruby then decides to turn off the gas on Hillary because she's tired of being her. She don't want to be her no more. She said if she was gonna be a white woman, she always envisioned herself as a redhead. I was like, come on, bitch, come on, serve me some motherfucking Lucille Ball, because don't sleep on Lucille Ball. When Lucille Ball was young, back in her RCA days, oh, baby girl was a snack. Beautiful. Check it out. Check it out. Because Hillary was dog in the face, child. Hillary was ugly. So Christina smirked like, okay, bitch, I see you, bitch. We can do that. We can find a redhead bitch. Let's get it popping. So Montrose drinks the moonshine while thinking back on, beating Tick and everything he went through as a child. Like all of his past is just coming back to haunt him. So Hippolyta works on the portal. Letty tells Montrose she's pregnant. He tells her that Tick already knows, and that he dies after Christina's spell. So, Letty is shook. So Letty says, Hippolyta says there's parallel universe. It might not be true. And Montrose says, but what if it is? By you handing over those pages, you might have had a hand in the death of my son. You'll understand when you have yours. And I was like, ooh, because that's real talk. Like, that's something to have to live with, that if I wouldn't have acted so impulsively, the love of my life and the father of my son could still possibly be alive if he dies, and feeling that blame and that guilt and having to carry that around for the rest of your life. Like, oh my God. So Letty starts to cry, was like, it's a boy. Like, she realized, oh my God, I'm having a boy. Like, oh my God. So Hippolyta gets the portal to work, but she has to rewind it to Tulsa 1921 when, the Black Wall Street was the massacre and everything that happened. So Hippolyta says, once you're there, don't do anything that might change this future, because, if you do that, it's going to fuck up everything that's happening right now. So Hippolyta, however, has to use herself as a motherboard for the chips that are in her wrist. So Montrose, Letty, and Tick go through the portal. Montrose immediately becomes emotional because he's lived through this already once, and have to go back and live through it again and see everyone you love get massacred and slaughtered. Like, who wants to relive that? So Tick overhears something about a canceled dance, and Montrose says that was the Booker T. Washington school prom. They closed the school hours before the mayhem started. So Tick says, didn't they burn down Mama house the first night? Montrose says, with her whole family inside. So they have to then steal clothes so they can blend in, of course, with everyone else, and they hit the streets so they can go find where Montrose and Dora and George, all used to live. So Montrose, meanwhile, is having flashbacks of the massacre. Like, this shit is just eating him up. And I remember when I was younger, I watched the movie Rosewood that showed everything that happened with everything that happened in Tulsa. And I just remember seeing that at school. I think I was in high school, and that movie fucked me up. I was so sad, like, to imagine people just being slaughtered and killed just because they were black and just prospering and smart and intelligent. And I guess for white people, they was getting too high up on their hearts, like, to just kill people like that. And the fact that it's not really acknowledged in schools, and these are things that we really don't learn. Like, I'm happy that shows, it's like a happy sad that shows like this and Watchmen are, educating blacks and, other ethnicities on this horrendous thing that happened in U.S. history. It's just so sad just to even think about things like that happen. And what's even sadder is that I can see things like that still happening today. And that's the saddest thing. 20 years later, 100 years later, we're still living in these racist ass times. So, Montrose, like I said, is having these flashbacks. He is shook, and Tick just thinks that he's drunk and like, I can't depend on you. He calls him pathetic. Like, he doesn't realize like his daddy is having like PTSD. So Montrose say, y'all don't know what y'all getting into. You think you know war, like, nigga, you ain't seen shit. Tick say, when this is done, we're done. Like, he go off on his daddy. He's just so quick to judge his father because he's never walked a day in his father's shoes. All he's dealt with is with his own pain and everything that, his father brought upon him. So Montrose shows them his and Tick's mama's house. They live right next door to each other. And they then witness a young Montrose getting beat in the front yard by his father, who was played by Will Catlett, who's one of my favorite actors. He starred on the YouTube series That Guy, one of my favorite YouTube series ever. That's where he got his start, and he has gone on to do not only this show. He was just in Charm City Kings. He's on what's the the CW Black Lightning. He has a role on. Like, when I saw him on That Guy, I knew all those years ago. I said to Monique, he's going to be a star. I can very well see him being another Denzel Washington, another Forrest Whitaker, like an acclaimed actor. He has got the chops, and as you can see, even with the small role he had on tonight's episode, the boy can act his ass off. And just to see this man beating his goddamn son in the front yard, you cannot do shit like that these days. Like, you would get the police call on you. I remember being a little girl and my grandmama telling me to go get a switch and whooping my ass on the front porch, and nobody would do shit. It was just like, oh, she getting a whooping. Like, shit like that could not go on. And I just felt so bad for Montrose, because his father was beating him because he caught him with George's corsage, I think in his hair, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, I guess he was trying to beat the gay out of him. Who, child? So, Letty and Tick are seeing this, and he's finally getting to see where all of this anger and the abuse and this train of thought that Montrose has, where it all stems from. So Dora, Tick's mother, ends up coming outside and going next door and telling Montrose's father to stop hitting him. He was like, stop, you're hurting him. And Montrose's daddy was like, girl, you better go home before I hit your ass too. And then her daddy came outside and was like, not today, Satan. You can do what you want to do to your child, but you touch mine, bitch, it's gonna be a problem. So Montrose's daddy then stormed off into the house. He all drunk and shit, talking to what the fuck you looking at, and I was cracking up. So Montrose then runs off because he's embarrassed, he's hurt by the whole entire situation. And then George comes outside. Well, no, George is already standing there. And Dora says to George, why you just stand there? He always seems to get more lickings than you do. And George was like, what you want me to do? Like, go against my daddy? Like, I'm going to get my ass beat. Like, what the fuck? So she was mad at him for a hot second, but then they make up and he gives her the corsage. So you can tell there was already something there. So my thing is, if she was going to the dance with George, when did things transpire where she got with Montrose? Like, I'm just confused. Like, I need clarification on how this whole thing went down. So, where was I at? So Dora and George decide to go look for Montrose. Letty and Tick then realize that adult Montrose has dipped off too, so they got to go looking for him. So Tick was like, damn, he about to go warn George that he's going to get shot in Artem. So Letty hotwires a car, and I was like, Letty's such a bad motherfucking bitch. So she suggested they name the baby George. Oh, Lord, no. And he just looked at her, and she looking at him, and he skirt off, and he was like, we're going to meet back at the place or whatever. So she's going to look for the book. He's going to find his daddy. So Letty is walking down the street, and she cut the corner, and a group of white men pull up and knock the shit out of a black boy. They see her and was like, catch a nigga, get a nigga, and start trying to shoot at her. For a second, she forgot that she was invulnerable. They shoot her, but she falls, but she realized, oh shit, I ain't hurt. But they start gaining on her, and that's when Montrose's father and Dora's father come outside, busting on their ass. And I was like, you better. That's when you fuck up the motherfucking crackers. So they then let her into I think it was Dora's people end up letting her come into their house. So they ask her, like, what's going on? And she tells them that there are more people up the streets, because she knows she can't change the timeline. She can't change things. She knows what's going to happen to these people. And it's just like a mind fuck, like, whoo, Jesus. So the men end up, Montrose's daddy and Dora daddy end up giving all the women guns as they head upstairs and stuff to arm the house, get ready for whatever the fuck this is that's coming. So Tick finds Montrose and tells him, you can't warn George. And he was like, I'm not. He looks over at his younger self at like the town square with this other young boy named Thomas, who he says is going to get shot in the head if he doesn't save him. And I was like, oh God, this episode is doing too much to me, Jesus. So back at the crib, Dora's sister tells Letty she's going to apologize to her for being a brat because, she had the fifis for George herself, and she was just being jealous and this and that, not realizing that she'll never get the chance to tell her sister I'm sorry because they left off on bad terms. Like, could you imagine? That's why you got to be real careful what you say to people, because you never know, this could be your last time ever seeing them or speaking to them ever again. So, she asks Letty, are we going to be all right? And Letty lies to her and tells her yes. And I was just like, this episode is tugging at my heart, Jesus. So, we then go back to Montrose and Tick. And Tick tells Montrose he can't save Thomas. And Tick says, if you don't end up with my mama, I won't exist. My son won't exist. Think about what you're doing. And Montrose says, I have. And then this monologue that he gives, whoever wrote tonight's episode, bitch, you need all the awards. Montrose says, I have. Thomas won't mean much. He's just the first of a long list of sacrifices I made to be your father. And anybody that got kids, the sacrifices that you make for your children. But in his case, he sacrificed his identity, who he was, his life choices, his livelihood, everything, to be this boy's daddy. Like, he couldn't even be himself. He was pretending to be someone else his whole life, living with these demons of his father and, all of these negative things that were drilled into his heads about homosexuality and, whoo, Jesus. And so then he says, you see right there, he points over to Thomas and him, and he says, I'm telling him we can't be friends no more because he's a faggot and I'm not. I lied to him and myself for years. I cut out all the soft parts of myself just to be a man. That line, bitch. Wow. Then he says, because men have sons. I swallowed my pride when I found out your mama was pregnant and you could be George's, but you were my son. You had to be. I did it all and I would do it all over again because the only thing I ever wanted to be was your father. So it can't change. That monologue, bitch, was everything. Michael K. Williams acted his face off on tonight's episode. He needs to get all the nominations and he needs to win. And at this point, Tick is starting to see like this is a complicated man. It's just not a one layered story here. I thought that I knew him, but I don't really know anything. Like, how can I judge him and be mad at him? He's product of his environment. So Tick is crying. He says, you better be sure that Pop. So at this point, he's giving him the go ahead to do what you got to do. Because if you're saying that it is your destiny to be my father, then go ahead. But Montrose doesn't do it because deep down inside, he knows that if he was able to save Thomas, he would have ran off to be with Thomas. It wouldn't have been no Dora. It wouldn't have been him being, Tick's father. So he doesn't do it. So we go back to the house and Tick's great-grandmother catches Letty going through the drawers and stuff and holds her at gunpoint. She's like, bitch, who was you? Because I got a bad feeling when I saw your ass. So Letty says, I'm from the future. I need the book of names. You have a family birthmark. I can prove it. So the great-great-granny said, you came to the past for the book. We die here, don't we? And Lord, my heart just broke because I just can't even imagine the things that our ancestors had to go through. Shit. So back at Montrose and Tick, Montrose says, about Dora and George showing up getting saved by the stranger. I never told nobody this part of the story. So then we see all the white henchmen pull up in a truck and young Montrose and Thomas run. Montrose and Thomas, however, are trapped in by, a gang of white men. He was a white bitch out there too. So Montrose says, we got so scared we grabbed hands. We ain't never held hands in public before. And so then we go back to the house, and the house is being bombed with Molotov cocktails. And it's pandemonium, gunshots is raging, fire is raging everywhere. And great grand granny tries to go help her family. She's like, I'm not just about to sit here and let this happen. But Letty stops her and says, we can't change it. And that's the sad part about it, is that you can't change it. You can't go back and rewind time to know that you're about to die. That's my biggest fear in life. I don't want to know what's coming. Lord, I pray to God I die in my sleep. I don't want to know what's coming, Jesus. I don't. That has got to be the scariest thing in the world, to know you're about to die and have to sit there and wait on the moment. Woo, Jesus. So, Montrose then tells Tick, I'll never forget that cracker scream, nigga faggot. Thomas, we then see, is shot in the head. And to know that Montrose had to live with that all of his life, this boy that he liked, and witness him being shot in the head by these racist ass men, and everybody in his family and everybody getting murdered, like, oh my God. So Letty tells Great Granny that Dora marries Montrose and has Tick, and she's in love with him. And, I think she even mentioned that she was going to have his baby. So Great Granny is like, all right. So she goes to leave out, but stops, because she was realized at this moment, you know what, I can't change it. We're all going to die here. Even me running down there is not going to do anything. So she then lifts back the picture and gets the book out and gives it to Letty. So young George and Dora show up to help Montrose. So they fighting these white people. And then we go back to the house with Great Granny and Letty. And Great Granny says, when my great great grandson is born, he will be my faith turned to flesh. Baby. I almost caught the Holy Ghost. That was one of the best lines I have ever heard in television history. They wrote their asses off tonight, honey. So a firebomb is then thrown into the room. The room is set on fire, so it's inevitable at this point. So Montrose then says to Tick, just when we thought all was lost, this stranger showed up swinging a baseball bat like he was Jackie Robinson. And Tick looking like, the fuck, nigga, how I know this? So Montrose says, hitting home runs with their heads. He saved us all. The last thing he said before he disappeared was, and Tick finishes the line, I got you, kid. And he was like, hold up, something wrong. We must have fucked up something when we went through the portal. Tick foot then bumps into the bat, and that's when he and I realized, nigga, you were the stranger. You were the stranger that did this. This was already written. Everything is already written. Child, I want to be right on this show. So Montrose says, you're the mysterious stranger. Then we go back to the house on fire. Granny says to Letty, I'm ready. I hope the good Lord is. Pray with me. And they get to say in the Lord's Prayer. I don't even know how I ain't crying right now. That was some of the saddest shit I ever seen in my life. This old woman saying the Lord's Prayer while holding Letty's hand. Letty's holding the book. Of course, she's invulnerable, so she's not caught on fire. And this woman is preparing for her death. And the house starts to burn down. And Montrose and Tick get back to the portal. Tick jumps through because it's glitching. And we see Hippolyta over and shit foaming at the mouth like, cause she been holding on for a minute, bitch. I'm surprised Hippolyta ain't died, goddammit. So Hippolyta say, I can't keep it open. Like, this bitch is about to fucking combust. So Tick said, you have to. Letty's not back yet. Montrose is standing at the window watching this whole massacre going down, and he's talking to himself and reminiscing on every person that he knew and how they died and all the fucked up things that happened to them that night. And the portal then opens again, Hippolyta's eyes is going white, child. She foaming at the mouth. Then she started floating up in the air and shit. I was like, what in the fuck is going on here? So then we see Letty walking down the street while all of this shit is going on around her. Bullets is flying. She walking slow with this book, crying, but with that look on her face. She walking through fire. She not getting burned, child. And I was like, any other time your ass is running, Letty, now is not the time to be walking slow and shit like you Beyonce bitch in the Crazy in Love video. What in the hell is going on, Letty? So she and Montrose then jump back through the portal. Hippolyta her to turn blue now. She is literally the character in Diana's comic book, which is the coolest thing ever. Hippolyta then says, did we get it? And Tick was like, we fucking got it. And the episode goes off. Child, it was amazing. Amazing. An hour of amazing work. This show gives me ever loving life. Oh my God, I love this show so much. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode of Lovecraft Country. I'm so disappointed that next week is the season finale. So fucking disappointed. Make sure you guys check out my behind the scenes tea video. It is up right now. And Monique's 40th birthday bash video, which is up as well. Make sure you leave me your comments down below on tonight's episode. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you guys and thank you for watching this video. I will see you on the next one. Bye.